Welcome to Talkin Sports with GBO and Ant. My name is Charles Gilbert, but before we get started on today's show, please hit the subscribe button. Also, click the bell to get notified when we post a new video. On today's show, we're going to go over the NFL playoff scenarios. We're going to talk about this week's schedule and seeding. But before we do that, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Anthony Watson.
What's going on, guys? Like Charles said there, we're going to be talking a little NFL Week 18 matchups with some huge playoff implications. There's some big games to watch and to look forward to this weekend, so we're going to be going over all those with y'all guys today.
Yeah, we still have a lot of questions out there. A lot of teams still in the hunt in terms of playoff seeding. When you look at the NFC and the AFC, we're going to break those down for you guys today. We're also going to take a look at this week's schedule and also seeding. So, stay with us. A lot to cover, but we're going to dive right into the NFC.
Okay.
NFC currently already has 6 teams that are clinched a playoff spot. You got the Packers right now that are the number 1 seed, also with a first-round bye. The other teams that have clinched, you've got the Cardinals, you've got the Rams, you got the Cowboys, you got the Eagles, and then you got the Bucks. So all those teams in NFC have already clinched. So, we're going to dive into of what the scenarios are currently now for the NFC. So, what are some scenarios out there for the NFC we're looking at for this weekend?
All right, I'm going to start off with one of the simpler ones, the 49ers and Rams game. If the 49ers win this game, they're in the playoffs and clinch that final wild card spot in the NFC. And then if the Rams win this game, they clinch the NFC West Division title. So, the NFC West Division title is still up for grabs. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals playing the Seattle Seahawks this week. The Cardinals can still clinch the NFC West title with a win and a Rams loss this Sunday. And then you got the Saints and Falcons game, which is a pretty big game as well for the Saints. If the Saints win this game and the 49ers lose to the Rams, then the Saints will sneak into that final wild card spot.
Yeah. So, to recap kind of what's going on here in the NFC, you got the Packers, like we said previously, get the first round bye. I did hear this week that Rodgers is going to play for the Packers. So, that's something for fantasy guys to think about. Week 18.
Chasing that MVP title there,
Chasing the MVP. We know all the controversy this week of, what the antics have been going on with that. And he called the guy a bum and all kinds of crazy stuff. But with the Pack, you're going to still see those guys come out and play this weekend. But diving into the NFC, in terms of what you're looking at in terms of NFC West, if the Rams win, they're NFC West champs.
Yep.
If they lose and then the Cardinals win, then you got the Cardinals as the NFC West champs. So a lot to play for that, for those teams and those games. And then you just look at the 49ers. 49ers beat the Rams on Sunday. Then you got the 49ers that are in the playoffs. If the 49ers lose to the Rams and the Saints win, then you got the Saints in on the NFC. So not a lot really going on compared to what's going on the other side with the AFC, but you still got a few teams out there that are really battling this weekend to earn a spot in the playoffs. So with that, that's your NFC coverage. We're going to move over to the AFC. A lot more to cover when you look at the AFC. So when you're looking at the AFC, what are some of the games and things you're looking at on the AFC side of things?
So the Colts are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. If the Colts win, they clinch a playoff berth in the AFC. Then you have a huge Sunday night football game we'll talk a little bit more about in just a second. But the LA Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders is basically a playoff game here in Week 18. Whoever wins this game will keep moving on and play again next weekend in the playoffs. And then the loser of this game will be sent home for the summer. So huge game there. Then you still got the AFC number 1 seed overall is still up for grabs. If the Tennessee Titans win against the Houston Texans this week, then you'll see the Tennessee Titans clinching the AFC number 1 seed and getting that first round bye, which will be absolutely huge for them. I believe in getting their team back healthy, resting their guys, getting ready for the playoff run.
Yeah, especially, let me hit on that just for a second, because Titans win against the Texans, get a first-round bye, plus they get an extra week for Derrick Henry to get ready. You got Julio Jones that's been banged up all season, gives him an extra week, and then A.J. Brown's, he's been banged up as well, give him an extra week. So this game Sunday against the Texans is huge for the Titans. So just like Anthony said, Titans win, they're AFC champs, first-round bye. If they lose to the Texans, then the Chiefs win on Saturday against the Broncos. Chiefs are your number 1 seed, first round bye for the Chiefs. So, too, those are really the two scenarios we see there. You do have some other teams, Bengals, Pats, that do still have a chance to win the AFC, but it's a long chance. Yep. They have a lot of things happen for them to do it. But if you look at the AFC East title, you've got two teams battling out there as well. You've got New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. Yep. Bills win, they're champs. If the Bills lose, Patriots win, beat the Dolphins, then the Patriots are your champs. Yep. So that's some AFC side of things, but also we still have some other teams that are looking to clinch playoff spots. Who you got there?
So, like I said there, we got the Chargers and Raiders, a huge Sunday night football game. The winner of this game, you're winning in. You win and you're in. And then you also have, like you said there, the Patriots still have a chance to win the AFC East Division title as long as they beat the Dolphins on Sunday and the Bills lose to the New York Jets. One of the biggest games for me to watch, though, is definitely going to be the Sunday night football game and the Chargers and Raiders. I'm looking forward to seeing these teams meet back up. The LA has played them and beat them already once this year, and that final score was 28-14. And the Raiders will be looking to get a little revenge at home this week in Week 18 versus the division foe in the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, really excited about Sunday night's game. It's really a first playoff game. Yep. I look at it that because I think both teams are coming into this game as this is a playoff game. We've got to win. When you move on, lose, you go home. So that's going to be a huge game Sunday night. Another game that's really important is a Colts game. Yep. Colts need to win. Colts win, they're in. Then some other crazy scenarios out there is Colts lose and Steelers win, then Steelers are in. Yep. And then Ravens win, they need the Steelers to lose, Colts to lose, and then I think they need the Dolphins to lose. So, and then the Ravens would be in. But too, a lot of different scenarios going on in terms of AFC. A lot more complicated in terms of AFC, a lot more big games in terms of the AFC as well. But what we're going to do now, let's go ahead and dive into this weekend's games. When you look at the slate that we've got for this weekend, you got a couple of games on Saturday, and then you got a full slate on Sunday. Yep. I know that we talked about earlier looking at the Saturday game with the 425 game with the Chiefs at the Broncos. What are some of the things you're looking in that game?
So it's going to be the biggest game of Saturday. Just like you said, the second game didn't really have any playoff implications because both teams have already clinched. But this Chiefs team versus Denver is going to be looking to win. They still got a long shot, but to win the AFC number one seed, all they have to do is win this game and the Titans lose. I'm looking for the Chiefs to come out and kind of dominate this game against the Denver Broncos just because they've coming off a bad loss last week after they took a 14-point lead against the Cincinnati Bengals. They ended up losing that game after taking such a big lead in the first quarter and lost that number one seed in the AFC. So I believe they're going to be wanting to get ready for the playoffs and hopefully still have a chance to get the AFC number one seed if the Titans lose.
Yeah, I could see here too where Andy Reid was like, how did this game get scheduled where it did, at 4:25 on Saturday? The first game where if you played maybe a Sunday night game or a Sunday afternoon game and you can see what the Titans did, that maybe gave you some time. If the Titans won, then you could rest Mahomes or play him a quarter or two quarters. But, this game's on Saturday, so I expect all players, everybody, playing in this game. So a big game for the Chiefs. Yep. Now, let's take a look at Sunday's slate. We got a slew of games, especially AFC playoff contention games here on Sunday. What are some of the games you're looking for on Sunday?
One of the key games at 1 o'clock slate would be the Titans and Texans that we just talked about. The Titans know if they win this game, then they clinch that number one seed in the AFC, and they get that first round bye like we just spoke of and getting their guys back healthy. So that is going to be a huge game for the 1 o'clock slate to see what the Titans can do against the Texans. And then you got the Colts and Jags playing, and the Colts know if they win this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, then they slip into the AFC wildcard spot. So that'd be a huge game. Jonathan Taylor gets his last chance to try to get those 2,000 yards rushing and make his case for the last week for the MVP race.
Yep.
I think that's a huge game there.
I think somebody else that is going to have a good game in this game is Michael Pittman. Yep. I think he's had a really good season, and I think he's going to have at least one or maybe two touchdowns. But they're going to lean heavy on Jonathan Taylor in that run and attack come Sunday against the Jags. So, that's the early game slates that we've got for you. Afternoon games starting at 4:25. A lot of big-time games here. what are one or two games you're looking at the 425 slate?
So just about all these afternoon games on the slate, they're going to be huge games for playoff implications. The biggest game we'll be tuned into at the 425 slate is going to be this Rams versus 49ers matchup. The 49ers beat the Rams just a few weeks ago by three touchdowns. So I believe the Rams are going to be looking to get that bad taste out of their mouth, and they know if they can beat this 49ers team, they can send them possibly home from the playoffs as long as the Saints win. So that's going to be a huge game. And the Rams are also going to be fighting for the NFC West division title. They must win this game in order to win the NFC West. I think that's going to be a huge game and a good game for everybody to be tuned into to watch.
Yeah, and then you take a look at, you got that NFC West title games at stake, and then you got the AFC East title games at stake.
Yep.
Both of those games slates are at 425 on Sunday. So, too, you'll be able to watch those games. Really nobody's setting out in those games because these teams need to win.
Yep.
And then you got the big-time game come Sunday night between the Chargers at the Raiders. Really looking forward to that game.
Yep.
Like we talked about previously, this is a playoff game. So winner, goes on to next week. Loser goes home. So what are some of the key factors for you in this Chargers-Raiders game?
It's going to be how well the quarterback play is from Justin Herbert and Derek Carr. Both quarterbacks have had a pretty solid season. Herbert coming in his second year as a starter for this LA team. He showed a lot of promise. I think LA has a lot of talent on their team, but sometimes each week they don't live up to their potential. They have one of the highest ceilings, I believe, as a team in the playoff hunt. They got a solid defense, a solid offense, but they just got to find a way to mesh together and play, the whole game and compete. You saw it a few weeks ago when the Texans beat the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers were 14-point favorites and ended up losing that game to one of the worst teams in the NFL, in the Houston Texans. So I'm going to be interested to see how well the Chargers play, knowing if they win this game, they're in the playoffs. And same thing with the Raiders. If they win this game, they're in the playoffs. So it's going to be a pretty good matchup to watch. I think everybody will be tuned into this one here.
Yeah, and most football games, it's going to come down to turnovers, who can rush the football, and then quarterback play.
Yep.
With both of these teams, whether it's Derek Carr or Herbert. So too, I think that's going to determine the game.
Yep.
So too, guys, there you go. We've covered the NFL playoff scenario. We've went through this week's games. We've talked about the NFC side of things, what needs to happen there. We've talked about the AFC side of things, a lot to determine still in terms of the AFC. So too, we appreciate you guys watching. Just remember, hit that subscribe button so we can keep you up to date with everything in sports. Also, if you guys would, please put a comment below letting us know which playoff teams you think will make it out of this weekend's games. So for Anthony, I'm Charles. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next show.